Okay, welcome to a demo of something a little different in terms of setting up your RC cars. What we've got here is a laser setup system. This is the laser module. It has a low-powered LED or laser diode as the laser source. Something pretty similar to what you would see inside a laser pointer. So very low power. You're not going to burn holes through anything or do any damage to your hand or body parts or anything like that because it is so low power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a demo of setting up a car. I'm not going to go through every nitty-gritty detail. I'm just going to go through the basics, and I can get into more detail later if needed. So the laser module just has an on-off switch and an LED to indicate that it's on. It just clips onto the setup stands here. All the parts are 3D printed. They're very accurate, printed on glass, so we got nice smooth flat surfaces, so everything works well. So first we're going to do the front here. As soon as I get it set, turn the radio on, turn the car on so I can get 0 points. Okay, so you can see I've intentionally messed up the car. I don't normally run 3 degrees of toe out. But what these scales show is the vertical scale is camber and the horizontal scale is toe. So if you're on the bolder lines, the darker lines are the 0 points. So if you're to the right of the 0 line, that is toe out. If you're to the left of it, that's toe in. You'll see when we look at the rear in a minute. And the vertical scale is just degrees of camber. So 2 degrees of camber is way down here, and you can see we've got quite the range. So the resolution on this system is way better than on a conventional system because we're measuring over a longer distance. So let's just go ahead and reset things here. So I'm going to set myself up for 2 degrees of front camber. You can see as I crank it, the laser dot is moving down. I'm just going to leave it there because I may need to adjust it again as I adjust my toe. So I'm going to go for 1 degree of front toe. Should be getting close. Okay, that's pretty close, I think. Close enough for this purpose. So now you can see I'm 1 major division over from the 0, so that's reading right there. That's reading like probably 0.8 or 0.9 degrees. That's one thing with this thing is you can fiddle around for very small increments. So I'm still a little bit off my my camber, so I'm going to tweak my camber down a little bit. And there we go. So right now that is reading bang on 2 degrees of camber, -2 camber, and 1 degree of toe out. Okay, so let's switch over and do the rear. So these just pop off easily. You just sort of rotate them and pull them off, and you slide them on over here, and you just have to make sure that they are flush to the top of the stands, and then you're good to go. So now you can see I've got like 0 degrees of camber on the rear, and we're going to go and set that to 2 degrees as well. Oops, going the wrong way, of course. Always happens. So I'm down to about 1. And a little more. Okay, so there we go. We got 2 degrees of rear camber, and the toe is reading. The toe here is reading about 3 point. let's call it 3.2. So it's not exactly 3, but that from doing all this I realized that not everything is as accurate as you would like to think it is. Okay, so now we're going to set the steering throw. We use this gauge for doing that. You can see here it's got values from 0 to 30 degrees in both directions, which should accommodate pretty much every touring car. So this just clips on in between the bulkheads, and there's 2 different widths that come in the kit. One is 17 millimeters for cars like the T420 and probably most of the new generation cars. I can't speak for all of them, only the T420, that's the one I have. And there's a 19 millimeter one for previous generation cars where, you know, the bulkhead spacing was a little wider. So now we just need to move the laser over. You can see it's pretty easy to move the laser around. You just snap it off and slide it over, and it's nice and securely attached to the stand. So now we just turn the laser on, and the first time you use this gauge you may want to adjust the position of the gauge so that it reads the same steering angle as the toe that you set with the in the previous step. It's not critical, but you want it reasonably close, because what we're trying to do is make sure we got the same steering throw in both directions and on both sides. So you can see I'm about 19.5 and about 23. So let's go ahead and set the steering angle. As soon as I get the okay, so there we go. We got about 23 degrees there. So now we're just going to switch the car around to the other side. Move the laser, turn it off first. Turn it on again. And now we're going to move and set the other side. So too far. Okay. Still a little too far. Okay, so that's it. So, and if you've done a good job setting up your steering geometry by, you know, the angle that you have your servo saver or steering arm, whichever you prefer to use, set at, then you should end up with very close settings for your left and right. In my case here, I've got exactly the same, which is actually kind of shocking. Usually there's a few percent difference, but if you see 10, 15, 20% difference, then you need to revisit setting up your steering. So I can do a video on that maybe a little later. Anyways, that's it. Steering throw set, ready to hit the track. Okay, now we're going to see how we can go about setting up an Osmatics. The main difference with the Osmatics is that you need to be able to adjust caster as well. So we have this little caster gauge here that mounts onto the top of the hub, the same way as all the other caster gauges for the Osmatics mount. The difference here is that we have this little slide-on gauge that can be easily pulled off to get out of the way when we're trying to adjust caster, toe, and camber all at the same time. So I'm just going to put this back on here. I've intentionally messed up the settings on this side of the car, so we'll have something to adjust. So we just put everything back together, clip on our laser, turn it on. So you can see right now we've got about 1.5 degrees of camber and about 2.5 degrees of toe. And on our caster, we're about 2 degrees. So I'm going to set this back to 0 degrees of caster and 2 degrees of camber and 3 degrees of rear toe, sort of normal settings. So first thing here is we need to get we're going to adjust our caster to get it right. We may have to come back because adjusting some of these things affects other settings as well. So we'll just, okay, so that's 0 now. So now we need to set the other one. So just pull our caster gauge off, and now we're shooting over to measure toe and camber. So let's get our camber set. So we're gonna adjust both of these equally. If I go the right way, which I'm not. Okay, we're getting close. Almost there. Oh. Tweak on each of these. Okay, we just went a little too far, so we'll just back them up a bit. And there we got 2 degrees. So now we need to set our toe. So we'll just adjust our toe. And I'm going the wrong way. It never fails. I don't know what it is about this, but I always go the wrong way first. Never fails. Okay, so there we're at 2. So we need to go a little more. And it went a little too far. Back a bit. So there you go. So now we've got 3 degrees of toe, 2 degrees of camber, and we'll just go back and check and make sure our grab the wrong gauge. Make sure our caster is still 0, which it is. Okay, so that's it. That's how simple and easy it is. You just take this and repeat it for the other 4, for the other 3 wheels, and you're all set to go. All right, that's it for now.